Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Today, we're going to be talking spy novels.
Ooh.
Yeah. We found this awesome YouTube video, rank the top 50 greatest spy novels.
Oh, wow.
And we figured, 50 books, that's a lot.
It is a lot.
So we're going to focus on the ones ranked between 26th and 50th.
Okay.
See what kind of hidden gems we can uncover. Right. Any of those ring a bell for you.
Yeah, it's a real mix. Got some classics, some more modern stuff.
Okay.
To start, let's go way back, like 1903 back, The Riddle of the Sands.
1903. That's like over a century ago. What makes this book so important to spy fiction, even today?
Well, it kind of introduced this idea of the amateur spy.
Okay.
Ordinary people stumbling into crazy situations. That became super popular. You see it everywhere in the genre.
So it's not just like the historical context, but the blueprint it laid down for future spy stories. What about the plot itself?
It's two friends on a sailing trip.
Good.
They uncover, a secret German naval buildup, hidden identities, coded messages, the whole shebang, trying to prevent a war.
Yeah.
And the setting, the Frisian coast, it's pretty unique. Adds to the suspense,
I can totally picture it. The windswept beaches, that feeling of danger,
Exact.
early 20th century, worries about, international conflict.
Definitely. And you see that anxiety in another book, The Innocent by Ian McEwan. Cold War setting this time.
Yes.
An American engineer gets tangled up in this plot. Involves a tunnel under East Berlin.
Tunneling under Berlin. Okay, that's a visual.
Right. And it was based on a real operation.
Wow.
And get this, one of the characters, he's based on a real spy, George Blake,
Yeah.
who, betrayed the West, defected to the Soviet Union.
Oh, wow. Talk about blurring the lines.
Yeah.
Okay, got to talk John le Carre, The Russia House. More of a reluctant spy, right?
Yeah, Barley Blair, he's a publisher,
Uh-huh.
asked to, check out a manuscript. Turns out it's full of Soviet secrets.
Of course it is.
Le Carre, he's so good at capturing that Cold War paranoia, the moral ambiguity.
It's amazing how these books reflect, like, the worries of their time. What makes The Russia House different, though, from other Cold War spy novels?
Le Carre really gets into the characters' heads, their motivations.
Yeah.
The Russia House, it's less action, more about the psychological impact of spying,
I get that. Internal conflicts can be just as gripping as, like, any external threat.
Absolutely. And then you have The Company by Robert Littell. He takes a much broader look at espionage.
Okay.
It's like a fictionalized history of the CIA, decades of it, from World War II all the way through the Cold War.
Wow.
And the characters, presidents, spies, double agents, even mafia bosses.
He really went all out.
He did. And he asked these tough questions about the CIA, its power, its methods, the ethical dilemmas they face.
What stuck with you about his portrayal of the CIA?
It's how he blends real history with, made-up storylines. It's both informative and entertaining. And he doesn't shy away from the complexity of it all. The CIA's successes and failures, the good and the bad.
Sounds like a great way to learn about the CIA without, getting bogged down in a heavy history book.
Exactly. And talking about lesser-known history, The Secrets We Kept by Lara Prescott. It's about the CIA operation smuggling Dr. Zhivago out of the Soviet Union.
Oh, yeah, I remember hearing about that. But this book, it focuses on the women involved, right?
It does. The women who were typists for the CIA.
Wow.
They weren't just typing, though. They were right in the thick of it, risking their lives to get that book out.
It's incredible how these books can show us, like, the often hidden roles women played in espionage.
Definitely. The Secrets We Kept, it really highlights their courage and smarts.
Yeah.
Operating behind the scenes, wielding a different kind of power in a very male-dominated world.
Before we move on to some more modern spy novels, I'm curious, what trends have you noticed so far in these books, from the second half of the top 50?
It's interesting. A lot of them seem to be wrestling with the idea of power,
Okay.
how it changes, the moral dilemmas it creates.
Yeah.
From, like, pre-war Europe to the Cold War, these books are all about individuals navigating these treacherous situations, both literally and figuratively.
That's a great point. Spy novels, they're not just action and intrigue. They're a reflection of their times, too.
Absolutely. And as we get into more modern examples, we'll see how the genre keeps changing, reflecting the new world, the new challenges spies face.
For sure.
After the Cold War and all that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah. Okay, so we're talking about how the genre evolves. Let's look at number 26, Len Deighton's The Ipcress File. It's got a bit of a different vibe than some of those classic spy thrillers we were just talking about.
In what way?
Well, for one, it's funny. like, actually funny. It's got this dry, cynical humor, kind of pokes fun at the whole spy world, you know? And the main character, he's this unnamed British agent. He's not like a James Bond type. He's more relatable.
Yeah.
You know, a working class guy who gets thrown into this crazy case, kidnaps scientists and all that.
So less glamorous, more everyday guy caught up in something way over his head.
Exactly. Dayton focuses on the, I guess you could say, less exciting parts of the job. The paperwork, the meetings, the bureaucracy.
Right.
But it's still a thriller, don't get me wrong. Lots of twists and turns, but it's got that realism, even a bit of satire that makes it unique.
Sounds interesting. What about Ashendon by W. Somerset Maugham? That's number 25. I heard that one has a pretty cool backstory.
Yeah, so Maugham actually worked as a spy in World War I.
Really?
Yeah, and Ashendon, it's based on his experiences. It's like a series of connected stories about this British agent operating in Europe during the war.
So we're getting a first-hand account of spying during one of the most intense periods in history. What kind of insights does he offer?
What's striking is how real it feels. He doesn't romanticize spying. He shows the stress, the ethical struggles, the toll it takes on you. It's like behind all the secrets and gadgets, there are real people making tough choices, dealing with the consequences.
Makes you wonder how anyone could handle that kind of pressure, living in a world of secrets and lies. Okay, number 24, Slow Horses by Mick Herron. Interesting title. What's the story behind that one?
Slow Horses, it's about this group of MI5 agents, but they're not exactly the A-team. They've all messed up somehow, been demoted to this dead-end department.
So the rejects, the outcasts?
Basically, Slough House, they call it. They're stuck there doing boring, busy work. Pretty resentful, pretty disillusioned.
Sounds like a recipe for trouble.
Yeah.
So what happens?
Well, this young guy gets kidnapped by this extremist group. And the Slow Horses, they see it as a chance to redeem themselves, you know? Prove they're not washed up, go rogue, start their own investigation, risking everything to get to the truth.
I love a good underdog story. I'm noticing a pattern here. A lot of these novels, the characters are kind of on the fringes, right? Whether they choose to be or not.
Yeah, good point. I think that's part of what draws people to spy fiction. It lets us explore those gray areas, the shadowy parts of power, the people caught in between.
Speaking of caught in between, number 23, The Kill Artist by Daniel Silva. The main character, he walks a fine line between art and espionage.
Right. Gabriel Allon, he's an Israeli art restorer, but he's also ex-Mossad. And when a terrorist starts targeting people connected to the Munich massacre, he gets pulled back in.
Oh, wow. Heavy stuff. What makes Gabriel Allon such a compelling character?
He's haunted by his past, driven by this need for justice, but he also struggles with the methods he has to use. Silva doesn't shy away from the moral grayness of it all, and Allon, he embodies that complexity.
Sounds like a book that leaves you thinking long after you finish it. Now we have to mention Stieg Larsson's The Girl Who Played with Fire. Number 38 on the list. It's got Lisbeth Salander, one of the most unique characters in the genre.
Oh yeah, she's back. Still brilliant, still troubled.
I've always loved Lisbeth Salander. She's a force of nature. So what's she up against in this one?
This time, she's framed for murder. Forced to go on the run, teams up with her friend, the journalist, Michael Blomkvist.
Okay.
Together, they're trying to clear her name and expose this huge conspiracy.
So it's about survival, about fighting back against powerful, corrupt forces. Larsson was great at weaving those themes into his stories.
He was, and Lisbeth Salander, she's such a powerful symbol. You know, fighting for justice, operating outside the rules.
Before we move on, I wanted to bring up Len Deighton again. We talked about the Ipcress file, but he's got another book on this list, Berlin Game, number 21. This is one with his recurring character, Bernard Sampson, right?
That's right. Cold War espionage, right in the heart of Berlin. Sampson, he's a British intelligence officer. He's tasked with getting this high-ranking East German agent to defect. But as he gets deeper into it, he finds out there's a traitor in his own organization.
Dayton, he's all about those twists and turns, isn't he? Never knowing who to trust.
Definitely. Berlin Game, the whole atmosphere is so tense, so uncertain.
Yeah.
The stakes are incredibly high.
It's interesting how these Cold War novels, even the ones written years later, they still grip you. It's like they tap into this primal fear, you know? Fear of the unknown, the struggle between loyalty and ideology.
Exactly, that fear of betrayal lurking everywhere. It's a testament to how enduring spy fiction is. You know, these stories, no matter the time period, they speak to these universal themes. Power, deception, the fight to survive.
Yeah.
And I think they resonate even more when the world feels uncertain, when things are complex and unpredictable.
You know, you just made me think of another one, I Am Pilgrim by Terry Hayes. number 20 on the list. It's got this blend of espionage and medical mystery. Makes for a really unique read.
Medical mystery, huh? Okay, I'm listening. What's it about?
So the main character, he's called Pilgrim, ex-intelligence officer living off the grid. He wrote this textbook on forensic pathology.
And then, bam, the NYPD needs his help. There are these murders, and they seem like they're right out of his book.
Someone's using his knowledge to, like, commit the perfect crime. That's creepy.
It is. And as Pilgrim investigates, he uncovers this massive terrorist plot, gets dragged right back into the world he thought he'd left behind.
Talk about high stakes.
Yeah, he's got to stop a global catastrophe. What sets I Am Pilgrim apart, I think, is the scope. It's huge. Multiple storylines, characters all over the world. Keeps you guessing till the very end. And Pilgrim himself, he's a fascinating character. Really smart, resourceful, but carrying a lot of baggage.
This one's going on my to-read list for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we can't talk spy novels without mentioning John le Carré again. Smiley's People is at number 19, and it features his most famous character, George Smiley. For those who haven't met Smiley before, who is he?
George Smiley, he's like the anti-James Bond.
Okay.
Brilliant, methodical, but totally unassuming. Works in the shadows, quietly figuring things out, outsmarting everyone.
Not your typical action hero, then.
No. But he's compelling because he's so smart and morally complex. He's not after fame or glory. He's driven by duty and a deep understanding of human nature. In Smiley's People, he's pulled back into the game to look into the death of an old informant.
Oh, I bet that's not as simple as it seems.
Of course not. It leads him right to his archenemy, Carla, this super mysterious figure.
Classic spy versus spy, then.
Yeah, it's a slow burn, but the tension keeps building as Smiley unravels Carla's schemes. Le Carré, he's a master at capturing the psychological side of espionage. Smiley's People is a great example of that.
Oh, you got to squeeze in one more. Gorky Park by Martin Cruz Smith, number 18.
Oh.
This one takes us somewhere completely different, right?
It does. We're in Moscow, back in the Soviet era. The main character is Arkady Renko. He's a homicide detective.
Okay.
Investigating the murders of 3 young people found in Gorky Park.
Oh, wow.
And as he digs deeper, he stumbles upon a conspiracy that goes all the way to the top of the Soviet government.
So it's a murder mystery, but with that Cold War backdrop looming over everything.
Exactly. What makes it stand out is how Smith portrays Moscow. The paranoia, the oppression, you really feel like you're there. And Renko, he's a good guy trying to do his job in a system that's totally corrupt.
You know, it's fascinating. So many of these spy novels, they're about characters facing these huge moral dilemmas, often putting themselves in danger to do what they think is right.
That's the heart of the genre, I think. It's not just about the action, it's about the choices people make when the stakes are incredibly high.
This has been an amazing deep dive. I feel like I've learned so much about spy novels, the different kinds of stories they tell.
It's been fun exploring them with you. It's always interesting to see how the genre changes with the times, but still keeps those core elements of deception, betrayal, the weight of secrets.
Before we go, I'd love to hear from you all. Out of these books, the ones ranked 26th to 50th, which one would you recommend? And why? Let us know in the comments. Until next time, happy reading, everyone.